growing friendships and tensions. The weeks following the troll incident had transformed the unlikely trio into something resembling actual friends, though their daily interactions often felt like navigating a particularly complex obstacle course made entirely of eggshells and good intentions. So then I told Professor Flitwick that the very concept of mastering and charms is inherently patriarchal, Hermione announced over breakfast, stabbing her porridge with the fervour of someone dismantling centuries of oppression one spoonful at a time. I mean, why must we master magic? Why can't we collaborate with it? Form a partnership? The whole framework is designed to reinforce hierarchical power structures that... Hermione, Harry interrupted gently, it's 7 in the morning. Oppression doesn't sleep, Harry, she replied, fixing them with the intent stare she perfected during her ongoing crusade against the patriarchal nature of, well, everything. Did you know that 93% of the portraits in the Great Hall depict men? And don't even get me started on the gendered nature of the house system. Gryffindor courage, Ravenclaw intelligence, it's all rooted in binary thinking that excludes non-conforming. Sister Hermione, Rahmed al-Waziri interrupted, looking up from his prayer rug where he'd been performing his morning prayers beside the Gryffindor table. Perhaps we could discuss the systematic oppression of magical society after I finish thanking Allah for this new day. Of course, Rahmed, I'm sorry, Hermione said, though she continued muttering about religious patriarchy under her breath. Harry watched their friends with a mixture of affection and exhaustion. Over the past month, they'd created what Hermione called their safe space, a corner of the common room where Harry could vent about Vernon's latest transphobic rants via Al Post, where Rahmed could explain Islamic customs without judgment, and where Hermione could deconstruct the patriarchal implications of literally everything from Quidditch, why were the goalposts phallic, to the moving staircases, clearly designed to confuse and disorient the feminine principle. It was a lot. You know what? Harry said, pushing away their half-eaten toast, I think I'm starting to understand why Dudley used to hide in his room when I tried to explain things to him. That's internalized oppression talking, Hermione said immediately. You're uncomfortable with challenging systems because you've been conditioned to. No, Hermione, Harry said firmly, I'm uncomfortable because sometimes a moving staircase is just a moving staircase, not a metaphor for the patriarchy's attempt to destabilize women's sense of direction. Rahmed finished his prayers and rolled up his rug. In my country, we have a saying, not every shadow hides a djinn. Sometimes a shadow is simply the absence of light. Your country? Hermione asked, her academic curiosity overriding her feminist analysis for a moment. I thought you were from Devon. My family moved to England when I was small, Rahmed explained, settling onto the bench. That we maintain our traditions. It is important to remember where we come from, even as we adapt to where we are. This was actually one of the things Harry appreciated most about their friendship, how different they all were, and how they were slowly learning to navigate those differences. Well, most of the time. That's actually really beautiful, Harry said. I wish I knew more about where I came from. The Dursleys never talked about my parents, and they definitely never talked about, well, anything meaningful. Perhaps that is why you seek to define yourself now, Rahmed suggested kindly. When we do not know our past, we must create our future. See, that's what I'm talking about. Hermione exclaimed, nearly knocking over her pumpkin juice. The patriarchal family structure deliberately withholds information to maintain power. The Dursleys were gatekeeping your heritage to keep you dependent, Anne. Hermione, Harry said, I love that you're passionate about justice, but sometimes I just want to eat breakfast without deconstructing the socio-political implications of my scrambled eggs. For don't you see? What I see, came a sneering voice from behind them, is 3 freaks congratulating themselves for being special. They turned to find Draco Malfoy standing behind them, flanked by Crabbe and Goyle as usual. But there was something different about Draco lately, something that went beyond his usual arrogance. His eyes had taken on a bitter, resentful quality that made Harry's skin crawl. Oh, wonderful, Hermione muttered. Here comes the walking embodiment of toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Draco repeated, his voice rising. I'll show you toxic. You want to know what's really toxic? It seems like you, he pointed at Harry, getting special treatment just because you're confused about your gender. And you, he swung toward Ramad, getting accommodations for your backward religion while actual wizards get ignored. Dude, Ramad said, standing up to his full height, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check myself? Draco laughed bitterly. Why should I check myself when society's already rigged against people like me? You know what you are? You're all NPCs or non-player characters. Background noise. While real wizards like me get passed over because we don't check the right diversity boxes. Harry blinked. Did you just call us? What was that? NPCs? It's black pill terminology, Hermione said grimly. It's part of a whole toxic ideology that. Oh, here we go, Draco interrupted. Let me guess, you're going to psychoanalyze me now? Tell me I'm problematic? Well, guess what, Granger, I'm tired of pretending to care about your feelings. I'm tired of walking on eggshells because you might get triggered. And I'm especially tired of watching inferior specimens get handed everything while superior wizards like me get ignored. The Great Hall had gone noticeably quieter around them. Other students were starting to stare. Superior specimens. Ramad repeated incredulously. Brother, you sound like you've been spending too much time in some very dark corners of the internet. The internet tells the truth, Draco said, his voice getting more agitated. It's all there if you're brave enough to look. The gynocracy, the Great Replacement, the Beta Uprising, it's all connected. And I refuse to be cucked by this woke nonsense anymore. Harry had no idea what half of those words meant, but they sounded deeply unpleasant. Draco, Harry said carefully, I think you need to. Don't you dare, Draco snarled. Don't you dare try to therapize me with your fake concern. You're not even a real wizard, you're just a mudblood playing dress-up, getting special treatment because Dumbledore's too weak to maintain proper standards. Silence followed. Every conversation in their section of the Great Hall had stopped. Ramad cracked his knuckles. Yo, that's it. I'm about to introduce this fool to the concept of find out after he's clearly finished with fucking around. Violence isn't the answer, Hermione said, though her voice was shaking with rage. But Draco, what you just said crosses every possible line of human decency. Human decency. Draco laughed, but there was no humor in it. Human decency is a social construct designed to keep alphas like me from claiming our rightful place. Well, I'm done being civilized. I'm done pretending that degenerates deserve respect. And I'm especially done watching this school get destroyed by diversity hire professors and attention-seeking freaks. That enough, came a stern voice from the head table. Professor McGonagall was striding toward them, her lips pressed into a thin line. Mr. Malfoy, you will come with me immediately. Of course, Draco said bitterly as Crabbe and Goyle flanked him. Protect the diversity students from hearing uncomfortable truths. Can't have anyone's feelings get hurt in your safe space score. As McGonagall escorted Draco away, the trio sat in stunned silence. What, Harry said finally, the hell was that? That, Hermione said, her voice shaky, was radicalization in real time. He's been consuming extremist content and it's warped his entire worldview. I don't understand half the words he used, Ramad admitted, but they sounded like the kind of things angry men say right before they do something really stupid. That's exactly what they are, Hermione said grimly. It's a whole ecosystem of resentment and entitlement. They have their own language, their own mythology about why they're failures, and it's always someone else's fault. Usually women, minorities, or anyone who doesn't fit their narrow definition of normal. Harry felt a chill run down their spine. He called me a mudblood. That's what they used to call muggle-born wizards, isn't it? As a slur. Yes, Hermione said quietly. And he used it deliberately. He's not just being a bully anymore, Harry. He's become something much more dangerous. The breakfast conversation had definitely been ruined, but as they gathered their things to leave, Harry realized something important had happened. Faced with genuine hostility, the three of them had instinctively moved closer together. Their differences, the very things Draco had tried to use as weapons against them, had become sources of strength. "You know what?" Harry said as they walked toward their first class. "I'm glad we're friends. All of us. Exactly as we are. Even when I deconstruct the patriarchal implications of everything." Hermione asked with a small smile. "Even then? Even when I stop everything for prayer time?" Ron had added. "Especially then. And even when you correct everyone's pronouns in the middle of potions class." Hermione teased. "That's okay, that one's still annoying," Harry admitted. "But yes, even then." They walked on together, three misfits who'd found each other in a world that often seemed determined to keep them apart. Behind them, other students were still whispering about Draco's outburst, taking sides, choosing camps. But for the first time since arriving at Hogwarts, Harry felt like they were exactly where they belonged, walking between their best friends, toward whatever came next. Even if what came next was Professor Snape making inappropriate comments about sleeping potions and somehow getting away with it because everyone was too afraid of being called racist to complain. Some battles, Harry reflected, were going to take a lot longer to win.